My mother couldn't come to trade, so I came instead, said the little alien girl to the human. HFY, the trade station, floated in quiet orbit above a blue gas giant, its wide metal arms glowing with soft white lights. Ships of many shapes were docked along its rings. Some were smooth and silver, others dark and sharp like blades. Voices in many languages filled the air inside the main hall, mixed with the hum of machines and the distant thud of cargo movers. Eli stood at his post near Dock 7, holding a small scanner in his hand. He was not an important man. He was not a soldier or a leader. He was only a dock clerk, someone who checked trade permits, scanned cargo seals, and made sure rules were followed. Most days were the same. Traders argued about prices. Captains complained about delays. Nothing surprising ever happened. Until today. The alert on his scanner blinked yellow, then red. Eli frowned and looked up. Standing at the edge of the dock was a small figure, barely reaching his waist. At first he thought it was a child from one of the smaller species that often traveled with families, but as he focused, his breath caught. The girl was not human. Her skin had a soft, pale glow, like moonlight on water. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the station lights. She wore a simple gray wrap and held a thin data slate in both hands. Behind her stood a cargo crate, almost 3 times her height, marked with faded symbols Eli did not recognize. She stood very still, calm in a way that felt strange in such a busy place. Eli cleared his throat. "Dock access is restricted," he said, keeping his voice steady. "Where is your guardian?" The girl looked up at him. Her voice was quiet but clear. "My mother couldn't come to trade," she said, "so I came instead." The words were simple. Too simple. A few nearby traders stopped talking. One of them laughed nervously. Another stepped back. Eli felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "That's not possible," Eli said. "Trade permits require an adult representative." The girl lifted her slate and held it out. "I have permission," she said. Eli took the slate. The screen lit up with official markings. Real ones. Station seals. Verified codes. His scanner chimed and confirmed it. The permit was valid, but incomplete. "This authorization lists a primary trader," Eli said slowly, "but there is no biometric match present." The girl nodded. "That is my mother. And where is she now?" "She is injured," the girl said. "She asked me to finish the trade." More people were watching now. Security drones shifted position, their sensors turning toward the dock. Eli could feel eyes on his back. "What species are you?" someone asked from the crowd. The girl did not answer. Eli swallowed. "You shouldn't be here alone. This station isn't safe for children?" The girl finished. Her gaze did not waver. Eli hesitated. He had seen smugglers, liars, and worse, but never this. Never a child standing alone with legal trade documents and no fear in her eyes. "I need to call this in," he said. The girl nodded again. "That is acceptable." Eli tapped his comm. "Dock 7 anomaly," he said. "I have a minor alien trader claiming authority. Permit appears valid, but primary party is absent." There was a pause. Then the voice of a supervisor came through, tight and sharp. "Detain and isolate." Eli looked at the girl. "They want me to take you to a holding area." She tilted her head slightly. "Will my cargo be safe?" Eli glanced at the massive crate. The scanner still showed errors when he tried to read it. Unknown material. Unknown energy trace. "I don't know," he said honestly. The girl stepped forward, placing one small hand against the crate. Please do not open it yet. A low hum vibrated through the dock floor. Several people gasped. One of the security drones backed away. "What is in that crate?" Eli asked. The girl looked at him for a long moment. "Trade," she said. The hum faded. Silence returned, heavier than before. Security officers arrived, moving fast but careful. Their leader, a tall woman with short dark hair, stopped a few steps away. "This area is now restricted," she announced. "All non-essential personnel clear out." Some people protested. Most did not. The woman looked down at the girl. "You are not authorized to conduct trade on this station." "I am," the girl replied calmly. "My permit is valid. It is incomplete. My presence completes it." The officer frowned. "That's not how it works. It is for my people." The officer turned to Eli. "You verified this?" "Yes," Eli said. "The permit checks out. But I've never seen a case like this." "No one has," the officer said. She leaned closer to the girl. "Where is your home delegation?" "We do not travel in large groups," the girl said. "We learned that long ago." Something in her tone made Eli uneasy. The officer straightened. "Escort her to holding. Secure the cargo." As the officers moved forward, the girl spoke again. "If you take me away," she said, "the trade will fail." The officer paused.
"That's not your concern?" "It is," the girl said.
"Because what is inside cannot be transferred without my consent." The officer's eyes narrowed. "That sounds like a threat." "It is a fact." The crate hummed again, louder this time. Lights flickered overhead. Eli felt the vibration in his bones. "Stand down," the officer said sharply. The hum stopped. Silence. The officer took a slow breath. "What exactly are you offering in this trade?" The girl looked around the dock, at the humans and aliens watching her. Then she looked back at Eli. "A gift," she said, "and a question." Eli's mouth felt dry. "What question?" "Will humans keep their word?" the girl said, "when it costs them something?" No one spoke. Eli felt a strange heat behind his eyes. He did not know why. He barely knew this child. But something about the way she stood there, alone and unafraid, stirred something deep in him. "We try to," he said quietly. The girl studied his face, as if measuring his answer. "That is why I am here," she said. A new alert flashed across Eli's scanner. External sensors. Incoming signals. Multiple ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Unknown origin. The officer received the same alert. Her jaw tightened. This just got complicated. The girl looked up at the distant stars beyond the docking bay window. "They are early," she said softly. Eli stared at her. "Who is early?" She did not answer. Outside, the first unknown ship slid into view, dark and massive, its hull covered in markings that made Eli's eyes ache when he tried to focus on them. The station lights dimmed slightly as power systems adjusted. The crowd began to murmur. Eli realized with a slow, sinking certainty that this was no simple trade, and that the smallest person on the dock might be the most important one there. The docking bay was full of whispers now. Traders leaned forward, trying to catch a glimpse of the small alien girl and her mysterious crate. Eli's hands hovered over his scanner as he watched the monitors showing the approaching ships. They were not sending any communication yet, only drifting silently like dark stones through space. Mara, a human analyst assigned to the station, came rushing over. She was younger than Eli, with short brown hair tied back and sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. "Eli, what is going on?" she asked, scanning the crate with her portable device. "I don't know," Eli admitted. "She came here alone. Says it's a trade. Permit is valid, but there's something about this crate." He tapped the crate gently and a faint vibration ran through the floor. Mara's device started beeping urgently. "This isn't normal," she said, her voice low. "It's emitting energy signatures I don't recognize. This technology, it shouldn't exist outside of our top labs. And even there, only in experiments." The girl looked at Mara calmly. "It is not meant for you," she said simply. "It is meant for those who will protect it." Eli felt a chill. The words sounded harmless, but there was power in them. A quiet warning. He glanced at the crowd. People were edging back, some whispering that this child was too small to carry anything dangerous. Others, unsure. Security drones hovered near, their lights scanning the crate. Mara frowned and looked at Eli. "Do you realize what she is offering?"
If this technology fell into the wrong hands, it could change everything. Military power, transportation, energy.
All of it. One person could control entire regions. The girl tilted her head as if listening to something Eli could not hear. "It is not for control," she said. "Double. It is for choice. Humans once helped us. They do not take what is not theirs. That is why we trust them." "Helped you?" Eli asked. He was not sure he understood. "When?" "A long time ago," she said, her voice quiet, almost sorrowful. "A disaster came to our home. Many species ignored us. You did not. But those records are gone. We have only memory, only trust." Mara looked at the monitors again. "Incoming ships are changing formation. They are not here for trade. This is a preemptive move. They want that crate." The girl's eyes followed Mara's gaze to the approaching ships.
"Yes, that is why I am here."
It is a test. Eli's stomach twisted.
"A test? To see who will honor trust," she said simply. "Who will act for others without asking for gain?" The crowd grew silent. Some traders whispered in fear. Others murmured about betrayal and war. The station's security chief moved closer to Eli and Mara. "We need to isolate them," he said. "That crate is now a potential threat." Eli shook his head. "No, this isn't just a threat. She says it's a test. She is asking for trust." The chief's expression hardened. "Trust?"
We cannot base security on trust, only authority."
The girl stepped forward slightly, her small hands brushing the crate's surface. "It cannot be moved without my consent," she said. "No one can open it. Not now. Not ever without choice." The chief hesitated. The girl's calm presence and strange authority made him uneasy. He looked at Eli. "Verify this?" Eli glanced at the scanner, then at the girl. "The readings are correct. It responds only when someone is willing to honor her conditions." Mara shook her head, a mix of fear and awe in her eyes. "We have never seen anything like this. It could be dangerous. It could be revolutionary." The first unknown ship reached the edge of the station. Its dark hull reflected the station's lights, making it seem even larger. Slowly, it began to move in formation. Other ships followed, creating a line that cut off the station from the rest of the sector. They did not communicate. They did not send warnings. They were simply there. Eli's breath caught. "They are going to take it by force." The girl's gaze did not leave the crate. They will not succeed. A warning alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed. Security personnel began moving to defensive positions. Traders panicked, retreating toward the main corridors. Mara grabbed Eli's arm. "We need to act, or the station could be destroyed." Eli nodded. "But how? This is beyond weapons or shields." "We don't know what this is." The girl stepped closer to the crate. "I can guide you," she said. "But you must trust humans to choose the right path." Mara exchanged a look with Eli. They both understood that the small alien girl held knowledge and power far beyond what anyone on the station had. Yet she was a child, alone, unarmed. And yet, she commanded the attention of all who watched. The first ship fired a warning pulse. The station's shields flickered under the energy wave. Traders screamed and ducked. Red lights flashed faster. The drones moved into defensive patterns. The hum from the crate began again, soft at first, then growing louder. It filled the docking bay with vibration, making metals sing and monitors flicker. Eli felt it in his chest. The energy was alive, almost aware. Mara tried to keep her device online, but it kept malfunctioning, overwhelmed by unknown power. She glanced at the girl. "What is it?"
It is what we offer, the girl said.
"It is knowledge and trust, not a weapon. It cannot harm without the will to harm. It is alive in the way people are alive, in the choices they make." The unknown ships moved closer. Their weapons glowed. Red beams traced across the docking bay. The security chief barked orders. "Fire warning shots, stop them!" The girl shook her head. "Do not attack. Only trust will matter." Eli felt panic rising. The ships were too large, their weapons too powerful. Any resistance from the station would be destroyed instantly. Yet, something in the girl's calm certainty made him hesitate. Mara whispered, "She's right. If this is about choice, fighting could ruin everything." Eli nodded slowly. "We wait. We see." The hum from the crate reached a crescendo. Lights pulsed across its surface, displaying symbols and patterns no one could recognize. It projected faint images into the air. Memories of a distant world, a city under threat, humans arriving to save lives. Scenes of courage and kindness flickered before their eyes. Traders and security personnel stopped, mouths open in disbelief. "Humans saved us," the girl said softly. "Long ago. And now the choice is yours again. Will you protect what is not yours because it is right to do so?" The ships paused. Their weapons scanned, then withdrew slightly. Something in their sensors seemed to react to the crate. Eli noticed patterns shifting on his scanner. The energy signature from the crate was extending outward, scanning not the ships but the intent of those controlling them. The crowd watched in silence. No one moved. The girl, small and still, held more power than any fleet, any government, any weapon. She looked at Eli, then Mara, then back at the crate. "The trade will only succeed if trust is chosen," she said. "If you act for yourselves alone, nothing will happen. But if you act for what is right, it will answer." Ellie's hands shook slightly. "So, we protect it?" he asked. "Yes," the girl said. "Even if the cost is high. Even if you do not understand what is at stake."
Mara swallowed.
She looked at the approaching ships, at the armed security, and at the frightened traders. "We do not have much choice," she said. The hum from the crate softened, becoming a gentle pulse. Red lights faded from the station. The unknown ships hesitated, their weapons slowly deactivating. Everyone held their breath. The girl stepped back, her small hand brushing the crate. "You have chosen well," she said. "Not for glory, not for gain, but because it is right." Eli felt relief, though it was mixed with confusion. What had just happened? The ships were retreating, turning back toward the edge of the system. Mara stared at her device, trying to capture the energy signature, but it was gone, leaving only a faint echo. Traders began whispering, some calling it a miracle, others a trick. The security chief did not speak. Eli simply nodded, unable to stop staring at the small alien girl who had arrived alone, who had held the attention of everyone on the station, and whose presence had prevented a potential disaster. The girl looked around the dock one last time. Her eyes were calm, but something in them hinted at more. She was not done. She had only begun the test, and she knew that those who had chosen trust today would be called upon again in ways none of them could yet imagine. The unknown ships lingered at the edge of the system, dark and silent, like predators waiting to strike. Eli watched them from the observation deck of the station, his hands gripping the railing. He had never felt so small or so responsible in his life. Mara stood beside him, her scanner still picking up faint traces of the crate's energy. "They are not leaving because they want the crate," Mara said quietly. "They are waiting for a signal, something to react to." Eli nodded. "But what signal?" "We didn't do anything except stand there." The small alien girl, Lyra, stood at the edge of the dock with her crate. She had not spoken since the ships arrived. Her large eyes reflected the starlight outside, and her small hands rested lightly on the crate's surface. Eli noticed that her calmness never wavered, even as the threat grew closer. "Eli," Mara whispered. "Look at her. Look how she holds it. It's not just a crate. It's alive somehow." He followed her gaze. The surface of the crate pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, and faint lines of light traced along its edges. The energy reading showed patterns that shifted based on the people nearby, almost as if the crate was observing their thoughts and intentions. The security chief approached, frowning deeply. "We cannot wait any longer," he said.
"We need to defend the station. The ships will attack if we do nothing."
Eli shook his head. "No." Lyra said not to attack. "The crate responds to intent, not weapons. If we fire, we risk everything." The chief's face hardened. "You are not in charge here. Stand aside." Lyra spoke suddenly, her voice calm but carrying over the crowd. "They will not succeed while humans act with trust and honor. But if you attack, the outcome will be different." Eli felt a strange certainty in her words. He did not fully understand why, but he believed her. Mara glanced at him and nodded slightly. They would follow her lead. Outside, the unknown ships began to shift formation. One of them projected a thin beam toward the station, scanning the entire structure. The hum from the crate grew stronger, responding to the movement of the beam. It was subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but then it became clear. The crate was reacting, analyzing, calculating. "It can see them," Eli said. "It knows what they are doing."
Not just seeing, Mara corrected.
It is judging them, their intent, their threat level. The first ship fired another warning pulse. This time the station's shields flickered violently. Traders ducked for cover. Alarms blared. Red warning lights reflected in the girl's wide eyes, but she did not move. Her small hands remained on the crate. Lyra's voice rang out, quiet but commanding. "Do not fear. This is the way of choice. Stand firm. Trust yourself." Eli's heart pounded. He could feel the energy radiating from the crate, and in some strange way, it felt like it was feeding on their courage. The unknown ships did not attack again. Instead, they paused, scanning the station's response. A new voice came over the station's comm system. It was the captain of one of the incoming ships, though the signal was distorted. "Surrender the cargo," the voice said. "The child cannot control it alone. Hand it over." Lyra did not respond verbally. She merely pressed her hands a little more firmly on the crate. Lines of light shifted, forming patterns Eli could not understand. The energy pulsed faster, resonating through the floor and walls. It was as if the crate itself was speaking, communicating without sound. Mara tried to record the readings, but her device kept glitching under the energy. "It's too strong," she said. "It's beyond anything we know." Eli stepped closer to Lyra. "What do we do now?" he asked. "Do what humans do best," she said simply. "Protect what is right, not what is easy." Outside, the unknown ships fired another pulse, this time stronger, pushing against the station's shields. Red sparks flew along the edges of docking bays and alarms screamed. Traders scrambled to safety. The security drones moved automatically to intercept, but the pulse passed through them without damage. It was as if the energy was not meant to harm them, only to test their response. Lyra lifted her small head. "Do not act with anger or fear. Act with trust. That is the key." Eli nodded, feeling a strange calm. He moved in front of her, raising his hands to signal the security team to hold their fire. Mara did the same. Slowly, the red warning lights dimmed as the station's system stabilized. The hum from the crate softened, almost like it was breathing. One of the unknown ships began to move closer again, testing the station's defenses. The crate pulsed brighter, and Eli felt a vibration through his body. It was not painful, but it was powerful, like standing near a living heart. Then something unexpected happened. A thin line of light extended from the crate toward the approaching ship. The ship stopped instantly, its weapons deactivated. Eli and Mara exchanged astonished glances. Lyra smiled faintly. "It recognizes the choice you made. It sees that you act with honor." The energy line retracted, and the unknown ships began to back away, moving slowly toward the edge of the system. They did not attack again. Instead, they hovered in the distance, observing. The crowd of traders began to whisper among themselves. Some were amazed, some fearful, some suspicious. Eli felt the weight of what had just happened. He had never believed in miracles, and yet he had just witnessed one. And it was a small girl, alone, who had made it happen. Mara looked at Lyra. "What is it really?" she asked. "This crate, this power?" Lyra looked at her with large, calm eyes. "It is a gift and a test. Only those who act with trust and honor can access it. Others will see only its danger." Eli could barely speak. "So this is why your mother sent you? To see if humans would protect it?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, and you have passed. But this is only the beginning." The station's chief of security stepped forward, his face pale but respectful. "I don't understand it," he said, "but I cannot deny what just happened. Whatever this is, it answered to the right intent." Lyra turned to Eli and Mara. "You have shown the courage and trust of humanity. That is why I came."
That is why the test was needed. Ellie's mind was racing. Test?
"What test?" "To see if humans would act for what is right, even at risk to themselves," she explained. "Many species fail. Some take the crate by force, some ignore it entirely. but you stood firm. You acted with choice, not fear. Outside, the unknown ships began to slowly withdraw, disappearing into the darkness of space. The station's systems returned to normal, though the hum from the crate lingered faintly, like a heartbeat in the silence. Eli looked down at Lyra. What happens now? She smiled slightly. Now we wait. The next challenge will come, but for now, you have done well. Mara shook her head in disbelief. I can't believe a child did all this. Lyra's gaze swept across the station, calm and assured. Sometimes the smallest among you hold the greatest power. Remember that. Trust in yourself and in your choices. That is what defines you. Eli felt a mix of relief and anticipation. He had learned something he could not have imagined, that courage was not measured by strength or weapons, but by choice, and that one small alien girl could teach humanity a lesson far greater than any fleet or weapon ever could. The docking bay slowly returned to normal. Traders began to move again, cautious but curious. Security personnel stood at attention, wary but respecting the invisible authority the girl held. Eli and Mara stayed close to Lyra, understanding that their lives had changed forever. They had witnessed something extraordinary, and they would never forget it. Lyra looked once more at the crate, then turned toward the station's exit corridor. It is not finished yet, she said. More tests will come, and you will be needed. But for now, you have proven what humans can do when they choose trust over fear. The station did not return to normal, even after the unknown ships pulled back. A heavy silence stayed in the air, like everyone was waiting for something else to happen. Eli could feel it in his chest. The danger was not gone. It was only paused. Lyra walked slowly through the docking bay, her steps quiet on the metal floor. Eli and Mara stayed close to her. Around them, security teams watched with tense faces. Traders whispered and pointed, unsure whether to feel safe or afraid. The crate followed Lyra, not by moving, but by responding. When she stopped, the faint hum inside it softened. When she walked, the light pattern shifted, as if listening to her thoughts. Eli had stopped trying to understand how it worked. He only knew it was real. The station council called an emergency meeting. Eli was surprised when he was asked to attend. He was only a dock clerk, but he had been there from the start. Mara joined him, carrying her datapad full of failed scans and incomplete readings. The council chamber was circular and cold. Screens showed images of the unknown ships still hovering at the edge of the system. The leaders argued in low voices. Some wanted to hand the crate over to avoid war. Others wanted to move it deep inside the station and lock it away. Lyra stood in the center of the room, small and calm, surrounded by adults who controlled fleets and weapons. She did not look afraid. A council member leaned forward. "This situation is too dangerous," he said. "We cannot protect the station forever. If those ships attack again, people will die." Another shook her head. "If we give the crate away, we fail the test." "You saw what happened. It responds to choice. If we betray that, we lose more than our lives." Eli listened, his heart pounding. He did not know much about politics or war, but he knew one thing: the girl trusted them. That trust felt heavier than any weapon. Lyra finally spoke. "They will return," she said softly, "not just with force, but with lies." The room went quiet. "They will offer safety in exchange for me," she continued. "They will say you cannot win. That protecting me is foolish. That I am not your responsibility." Mars swallowed. "And are they right?" she asked. Lyra looked at her. Only if you believe strength means survival alone. An alarm interrupted them, not a combat alarm, but a communication request. The unknown ships were finally hailing the station. The council hesitated, then accepted the transmission. A tall figure appeared on the main screen. Its shape was unclear, hidden behind layers of shifting light. Its voice was smooth and calm. "You have something that does not belong to you," it said. "The child is not fit to carry such responsibility. Give her to us, and no harm will come to your station."
Eli felt anger rise in his chest.
The words sounded reasonable, but something about them felt wrong. Lyra stepped forward. "I chose to come," she said, "and they chose to protect me." The figure paused. "They are being manipulated," it replied. "You are too young to understand the consequences." Eli spoke before he could stop himself. "She understands more than you think," he said, "and so do we." The figure's tone hardened. "Then you choose conflict." "No," Lyra said. "They choose responsibility." The transmission ended. Moments later, the unknown ships began to move again. This time, they did not fire. Instead, they released small craft that spread out around the station. Power levels dropped. Lights flickered. Systems slowed. "They are cutting us off," Mara said, slowly. Lyra closed her eyes and placed both hands on the crate. The hum deepened, stronger than before. Eli felt the vibration run through the floor and into his bones. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I am opening the choice to all of you," she said. "Not just leaders. Everyone," the crate responded. Light spread outward, passing through walls and corridors. People across the station stopped what they were doing. They felt it too. A warmth, a pressure, a sense of being seen. Eli saw images in his mind. Humans standing between danger and the weak. Humans sharing food, offering shelter, choosing to stay when it would be easier to run. Around the station, civilians began to act. Pilots moved their ships into defensive positions, even unarmed ones. Engineers rerouted power by hand, bypassing systems that were failing. Medics refused to leave their posts. Traders blocked corridors, forming living shields. No orders were given. No commands shouted. They simply chose. The unknown ships reacted. Weapons charged, but when they fired, their systems failed. Energy beams fizzled and died before reaching the station. The crate glowed brighter, not violent, not destructive. It was protective. "They cannot harm you now," Lyra said quietly. "Not while you stand together." Eli watched the screens as the attacking ships struggled, their weapons shutting down one by one. Panic spread among them. They had never faced this kind of resistance. Not guns, not shields. Choice. One by one, the small craft retreated. Then the larger ships followed, pulling back faster than before. The station held. When the last hostile signal vanished, the crate's light faded. The hum softened until it was barely there. People slowly realized what had happened. Relief washed through the station. Some cried. Some laughed. Some simply sat down, exhausted. The council chamber was silent. Eli looked at Lyra. "You didn't force them away," he said. She nodded. "No, you did." Mara exhaled shakily. "So what now?" Lyra looked up at the stars beyond the screen. "Now the galaxy knows," she said. "Humans will not abandon the helpless, even when it costs them." Eli felt a deep sense of pride and fear at the same time. "Will they come back?" "Yes," Lyra said, "but not today." She turned to face them, her small face serious. This was the hardest part. Dead, dead. You chose to protect without promise of reward. Many fail here.
Eli nodded slowly. We're not done.
Are we? Lyra smiled, just a little. No, but now you are no longer being tested alone. Outside the station, the stars burned quietly, unaware that something had changed. Humanity had made a choice. Now, and the galaxy had noticed. The station felt different after the ships left. It was quieter, but not calm. People moved slowly through the corridors, speaking in low voices. Everyone knew they had been part of something important, even if they did not fully understand it. Eli sat on a bench near the docking bay, staring at his hands. They were still shaking a little. He had stood between danger and a child from another world, without armor, without orders. He had never done anything like that before. Mara sat beside him, her datapad resting on her knees. The screen showed nothing useful. Every scan she had taken of the crate had failed or erased itself. Whatever knowledge it held, it did not want to be captured. Lyra stood a short distance away, facing the large window that looked out into space. The crate rested behind her, silent now, its light dim and steady. She looked smaller than ever, like an ordinary child watching the stars. You saved a lot of lives today, Mara said softly. Lyra did not turn. You saved yourselves, she replied. I only opened the door. Eli stood and walked closer to her. The others, he said. The ships. They didn't just retreat because they were blocked. They looked afraid. Lyra nodded. They saw what they could not control? Choice? Eli asked. Yes, she said. Most powers in the galaxy rely on fear, force, or hunger. They do not understand a species that will stand together for someone who offers nothing in return. Mara frowned. But now they know about us. About this. She gestured at the crate.
That makes us a target. Lyra finally turned to face them. Her expression was serious.
You were already a target, she said. You simply did not know it yet. Eli felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. So this test wasn't just about the crate? No, Lyra said. It was about you. She walked back to the crate and placed her hand on it. The faint hum returned, soft and steady. The air felt warmer, almost gentle. My people have watched many worlds, she continued. We look for those who protect the weak, even when it costs them safety. We look for those who refuse power that comes without responsibility. Mara crossed her arms. And what happens to those who fail? Lyra's eyes lowered. They are remembered, she said, and avoided. The words carried a quiet sadness. Eli leaned against the railing. So what happens now? Lyra took a slow breath. Now comes the final choice. Mara stiffened. Final? Yes, Lyra said. The crate has shown what it can do. Others will come. Not to attack, but to bargain. They will offer alliances, protection, power. They will want you to keep the crate. Eli shook his head. We can't even understand it. That will not stop them, Lyra said. They will say humanity deserves it. That you earned it. Mara looked uneasy. And what do you say? Lyra met her eyes. I say the greatest test is not protecting power, it is letting it go. Before either of them could reply, alarms sounded again. Not red this time, but blue. Incoming communications. Many of them. The main screens across the station lit up. Symbols and faces appeared, representing dozens of species. Some were familiar, Others were not. Messages overlapped, requests piling up faster than the systems could process them. "They are all hailing us," Mara said, her voice tense. "Everyone saw what happened." Eli laughed weakly. "We're famous." Lyra did not smile. The council chamber filled once more, this time with urgency instead of fear. Leaders argued loudly. Some were excited, some were terrified. "They are offering trade routes," one council member said. "Protection agreements. Advanced technology," another added. "Resources beyond anything we've seen." "They want access to the crate," Eli said quietly. The room fell silent. Lyra stood at the center again. "They do," she said. "And they will keep asking until you answer." Mara stepped forward. "What is the right answer?" Lyra looked around the room at the humans who had chosen to stand together. "The answer is yours," she said. "But know this. The crate was never meant to stay." A council member frowned. "Then why bring it at all?" "Because sometimes," Lyra replied, "a mirror is more powerful than a gift." Eli felt something click into place. "It showed us who we are?" "Yes," Lyra said, "and it showed the galaxy as well." Outside the station, new ships began to arrive, not hostile, but curious. Some kept their distance. Others moved closer, careful not to provoke. Mara watched the feeds. "If we keep the crate, we become a superpower. If we give it back, we stay ordinary." Lyra shook her head. "You will not be ordinary again." Eli looked at her. "What do you mean?" "You have already changed the balance," she said. "Not by force, but by example." The council argued for hours. Voices rose and fell. Power battled hope. Power battled principle. Eli said little, but when he did speak, people listened. "We protected her because it was right," he said. "Not because we expected something in return. If we keep this crate now, we turn that choice into a bargain." Mara nodded. "And bargains can be broken." Slowly, painfully, a decision formed. The station would not keep the crate. The room was silent when the vote ended. Lyra closed her eyes. When she opened them, there was something like relief in her gaze. "Then you have passed," she said. Eli exhaled. He had not realized how tense he was until that moment. The council authorized an announcement. Messages were sent across open channels. Humanity would not claim ownership of the crate. It would be returned. The station would escort Lyra home. The reaction was immediate. Some species withdrew their offers. Others expressed confusion. A few showed respect. And far away in the darkness beyond known space, watchers took notice. Lyra stood once more by the crate, preparing it for departure. "My mother will be pleased," she said softly. Eli smiled. "I hope she recovers." "She will," Lyra replied, "because she believed in you." "No pressure." Lyra looked at them both. "You did not choose the easy path." "That is why the future will remember this day." Eli looked out at the stars, feeling small and strong at the same time. Humanity had been offered power beyond measure, and had chosen restraint instead. He knew, deep down, that this choice would echo far beyond this station, and that the final consequences had not yet arrived. The station prepared for the journey home. Lyra's crate was carefully secured in the center of the main cargo hold. Eli and Mara stood nearby, watching the preparations. There was a quiet tension in the air, different from the fear of attack. This was anticipation. They were about to witness something rare, something that could change the understanding of the galaxy forever. Lyra adjusted the straps around the crate. Her small hands moved carefully, as if she was tending to something alive. Eli noticed that even though she was small and appeared delicate, she moved with a confidence and authority that no adult in the council had ever shown. "Are you ready?" Eli asked. His voice sounded shaky even to himself. Lyra nodded. "The journey is safe. The crate recognizes the path, and it will protect us." Mara glanced at him. "Do you really believe that?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But after what we've seen, I'm willing to trust her." The station's engines began to hum as the docking clamps released. The lights along the docking bay flickered, and slowly the station moved away from the gas giant, heading toward open space. Eli watched the stars stretch and blur as the engines pushed them faster and faster. Lyra stood by the crate, calm and still. Eli noticed that the hum coming from it was softer now, almost like a quiet heartbeat. It was alive in a way, and he could feel it. Not as a weapon, not as a tool, but as something that responded to intention and care. "They will watch you," Lyra said suddenly, breaking the silence. "Those who saw what happened today will remember. Many will try to follow you. Some will test you. Some will attempt to trick you." Eli swallowed. "And if we fail?" "You will not fail," she said, "because failure is not defined by what you lose, but by what you choose." Mara leaned against the wall. "You speak like we already passed some final test." Lyra's gaze met hers. "You passed the hardest one. You chose humanity over advantage. That is rare. That is remembered." Eli glanced at the crate again. The light patterns on its surface seemed to shift in response to their thoughts. It was not just a machine or a container. It was a reflection of who they were, and in that reflection, they had made the right choice. A new alert came from the observation deck. Multiple ships were appearing at the edge of their sensor range. They were not hostile, but curious. Watching. Waiting. Lyra did not react. "Let them watch," she said. "The future is in their observation, not their interference." Eli felt a chill. The galaxy was paying attention. Every choice they had made, every act of protection and restraint, had left a mark. As they moved farther into open space, the light from the crate grew warmer, spreading softly through the cargo hold. It was not blinding, not threatening. It was comforting, almost like standing in sunlight after a long storm. "Will they ever trust humans like this again?" Mara asked. Lyra shook her head slightly. "Not all of them.
Many will doubt. Many will fear.
But some will remember, and some will choose differently because of what you did." Eli leaned closer to her. "You said this was only the beginning. Are there more tests?" Lyra's small face was serious. "Yes. But you have learned something vital. That courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act rightly despite it."
That will guide you through the rest. The journey was long.
Hours passed as the stars stretched and the engines hummed. Eli found himself thinking about the humans on the station, about the pilots, the engineers, the medics, the traders. All of them had made choices without reward, without glory, and all of them had been part of something extraordinary. Mara looked over at him. "Do you think they will understand what they did?" "They might not," Eli said. "But the crate knows, and we know." Lyra's voice cut softly across the cargo hold. "The galaxy remembers deeds more than words. It will remember your choice." Eli stared at the stars passing by, the unknown ships that had tested the station. The council's arguments, the whispers of traitors and civilians, all of it felt like a distant memory now, replaced by the certainty of purpose. Humanity had acted rightly, not for power, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. Hours turned into days. The crate remained calm, its soft hum like a pulse through the ship. Lyra rarely spoke, and when she did, her words carried weight far beyond her years. "Your species has potential," she said at one point. "Do not waste it on fear. It is courage that defines your future." Eli smiled faintly. "It's strange hearing wisdom from someone smaller than me." Lyra tilted her head. Size matters less than choice. As they approached Lyra's home system, the stars shifted, glowing with the colors of her planet. The crate's light pulsed brighter as if recognizing its destination. Eli and Mara felt a quiet reverence settle over them. When they entered the atmosphere of her world, the beauty of it was breathtaking. Mountains rose like crystal spires, oceans shimmered under a sun they had never seen, and the sky was alive with colors that seemed impossible. The crate's hum grew stronger, resonating with the planet itself. Lyra guided the ship to a landing area. The small alien population awaited. They were not many, but their presence was dignified, solemn, and welcoming. Eli and Mara stepped out carefully. The air was different, but not harmful. The aliens moved closer to Lyra, speaking in a soft, musical language. She responded, guiding the crate safely into their care. Her mother appeared then, recovering, strong and calm. She looked at Eli and Mara, eyes wide with gratitude. "Thank you for keeping her safe," she said in a voice that carried warmth and authority. "You honored what we hold most sacred." "It was your daughter who guided us," he said. "She showed us what humans could do." The mother nodded. "And you chose rightly. That is why your species will be remembered." Lyra stepped aside, allowing the crate to be carefully placed within their control. Its light softened, spreading evenly across the ground, bathing the aliens and humans in warmth. It was not a weapon, not a gift for power, but a symbol of choice. Eli looked at Mara. "I think we changed something today, something that will last." Mara nodded slowly. "I hope so."
I think we did. Lyra looked at them both, her face small but resolute. One day, when your people face similar tests, remember this: courage is not measured in victories or in weapons.
It is measured in choice, and humanity has chosen well. Eli and Mara watched the aliens and Lyra move quietly into the planet's city. The crate's hum faded into the background, leaving only a memory of warmth and calm. The stars beyond glimmered, and the galaxy seemed to take notice. As they prepared to return to their own station, Eli realized something important. Humans had just shown the universe that strength was not only about firepower or numbers, but about the courage to act rightly without promise of reward. Mara smiled faintly. "Not bad for a dock clerk and an analyst, huh?" Eli laughed softly. "Not bad at all." The ship lifted back into space, leaving Lyra's homeworld behind. Ahead lay countless stars, unknown civilizations, and future tests. But one truth was clear: